Great, thanks, John. My name's Kate. I work within the Wave and Tidal team for the Carbon Trust based in Edinburgh. And today I'm going to talk a bit about the challenges of collaboration for innovation, a bit of a mouthful. So just objectives for the day. I'll talk about the importance of collaboration, give you some examples of the types of collaborations that the Carbon Trust have been involved with, give you a bit more information about the Marine Farm Accelerator, and then try to home in on some of the specific challenges that we're going to face in marine, and especially with the Marine Farm Accelerator project. So first one, advantages of collaboration in innovation. This is probably mostly common sense. What you're trying to do is increase your communication. So if you've got obviously a collaboration of people, they've got a wider extended network, so much more knowledge capture, and you can bring all that knowledge back into your central collaboration. The advantages of this is that you're accelerating your learning and progress within your collaborative group, and the whole intention, therefore, is to get through to better innovation at higher speed and lower cost. So a couple of examples. The first is the Offshore Wind Accelerator program, which is very well known now. It's a program that's run with the Carbon Trust. And basically, the diagram here helps to explain how it works. So you've got a steering committee of site developers, and they're specifically chosen because they have similar goals and aims. That steering committee are basically, they put an annual sum of money into a pot, which is then match funded from the public pot. That steering committee then direct how that money is spent. So in the OWA, they've chosen 5 work streams that they would like to conduct projects within. And then Carbon Trust act as a kind of management mechanism, if you like, for spending money within those areas. So the advantage is you're leveraging your money and you're creating some market pull in terms of the innovations that you're creating. So for the Offshore Wind Accelerator, that money goes into a common pot, and that is spent on projects that everybody is interested in. But there's another side to this, which is sort of discretionary projects, and these are projects that maybe 1 or 2 developers are interested in, so they'll collaborate separately, but within the OWA, also get that leverage funding and spend it on what is usually higher value projects. So another example of collaboration is the Offshore Renewables Joint Industry Programme, or ORJIP. Again, managed by the Carbon Trust, slightly different here. Instead of the model where you put money into a pot to spend on common projects, all of the projects conducted within ORJIP are discretionary, so you can choose whether to be in or out. And one of the key things to note here is this advisory expert panel that you bring in. And one of the key things in ORJIP is to really start talking to people at the conservation bodies. So the aim here is to reduce consenting risks and costs. So what they're trying to do is carry out research projects into some of the environmental aspects that they need to be looking at. So by getting those conservation bodies on board, you're helping to do that and to move things along. So just thinking about why these programs work. So the main one there is common goals. As with the OWA, everybody on the steering group is a developer, so they've got common goals in kind. There's a facilitated dialogue. Ourselves as a Carbon Trust help to manage that process, and we arrange meetings, we get people together and we push things along. We've got some leverage funding there, the private and the public money coming in together. And one of the really key things is getting to tangible projects. And that's really one of the most important things, is going from this kind of amorphous lob of things you could be doing into some individual projects that are really going to benefit the industry. So it brings us to the marine industry and a program that is now kicking off called the Marine Farm Accelerator. This program is being led by the Offshore Renewable Energy Catapult in collaboration with ourselves at the Carbon Trust. And we have a real mouthful of a tagline, but the aim is to accelerate the development and proving of essential technology for marine energy first arrays and to enable future cost savings. So just as with the OWA, we're looking at all the enabling technology that goes with the marine site, if you like. So it's not the device itself, but it's maybe all the electrical architecture, things like foundations. So the MFA organizational structure, and you'll see it's very similar to the OWA, and this is what it's been modeled on. So at the top, we've got our steering committee, and then that steering committee have to date chosen 5 work stream areas that they'd like to concentrate projects within. 2 key things on this diagram is the first one, the Wave and Tidal Advisory Group. And we recognise that it's really important to get these people involved. It's no good us going ahead with a project without consulting. There's also potential at the bottom of the diagram here to bring in some of the IP from wider supply chain, and this is how we will bring these people in. So people like innovators and OEMs and device developers can all actually feed into the projects that come out of the MFA, and we're really keen to do that and to engage with wider industry. So just to elaborate on that a little bit and just give you an idea of some of the ways in which we can do that industry engagement. As we progress with the MFA, we're likely to be doing, obviously, projects in specific areas, but in different ways. So we may do things like competitions. The OWA has done this. One of the classic examples is the Twisted Jacket Foundation. We may be doing workshops and trying to engage industry that way, and just to increase learning, because that by itself can be really, really powerful and useful. Build on the relationships, do things like commission studies and research as well. So there's lots of different ways we can bring people in. Okay, so challenges for the Marine Farm Accelerator. First one there, whilst it's modelled on the OWA, this isn't offshore wind. And the MFA is being set up at a different stage in, I guess, industry progression as opposed to offshore wind. So bullet points here, we're at this early stage. We're still at this point where there's lots of different devices and architectures. So you've not only got Tidal, you've got Wave as well, and then you've got a mixture of devices within each. So there's less standardization. There's a lack of funding, and there's still high uncertainty. And the diagram here, hopefully, mainly because I wanted to say fuzzy front end at a conference, but you're trying to get your inputs and kind of develop them through and streamline them down, bring in some IP, and hopefully at the end you're commercializing some really useful and tangible technology that is going to be of benefit. Okay, so there are some advantages to the MFA. We're starting early, and there is a desire to collaborate, and we've seen that in our steering group meetings and our technical working group meetings. And the people around the room are really benefiting just from those conversations alone. So there's energy to be tapped. We're at the advantage where we can get in early and we can try to grow with the industry. But coupled to that, we need to have this ability to change and to flex. And there's a sense that if we can start small and grow and really build with the industry as we go along. Okay, so where we're at, just to cover the approach, we're trying to hit those 4 areas. So the first is the common goals, and we've got that with our steering group of site developers. We've created this facility to dialogue, ourselves as Carbon Trust acting as like the project management function to push it along. We've got leverage funding in from the government, and we're working towards these tangible projects. And just to elaborate on some of the projects we're looking at right now. So the steering group have decided that of those 5 work stream areas, the 2 they'd like to concentrate on to begin with are the electrical systems and yield. So we've got a couple of electrical projects that we're trying to pursue, and one of these is the development of a low-cost 6.6 kV wet mate connector. And then there's a potential to really expand that out into further electrical architecture and look at maybe in the future things like subsea hubs. And then one of the things we're kicking off in the yield work stream is this issue of uncertainty. And as a sort of initial project, we're looking at, well, how do you categorize that and try to build on that learning. So just to cover off, hopefully covered the importance of collaboration, told you about the collaborations the Carbon Trust have done, and then gone into detail on the Marine Farm Accelerator and our challenges and next steps. So if you have any questions, please approach me afterwards or get in touch.